We'll give everybody one more minute and then we'll get going. Thanks so much. All right, great. Well, we'll go ahead and get started to respect everybody's time. I want to thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this morning to learn a little bit more about the Water Council's Tech Challenge, our fall 2025 version. I'm Katie Kohlhoff-Mowat. I've been the Innovation Programs Director at the Water Council since February of this year, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit more about our Tech Challenge. Again, so glad that you're joining us from wherever in the world that you are. Really, the goal of this webinar is to help you think about your technology and align it with the goals of our sponsors so that you can put together the best application that meets your needs and understand what our sponsors are looking for as well. For those who don't know, I'll just give a little bit of information about the Water Council. I'm joined here today by our Executive Director, Karen Frost. And the Water Council was built on more than a century of water innovation in the city of Milwaukee in the United States, where there is a lot of concentrated water technology providers. And so the Water Council was born out of the innovation that arose from that industry, but we serve the entire globe. And so we're a global organization based in Milwaukee, promoting water stewardship as well as driving freshwater innovation. Under my purview in the innovation programs, we really have three main programs. I'd be happy to chat with anybody who's interested in the others. And today we're going to focus on our twice yearly Tech Challenge in this fall program. So I'll give you a little bit more information about that and kind of how it's set up to help you think about this. So the Tech Challenge is sponsored by four leading water tech firms: Badger Meter, Xylem, A.O. Smith, and Watts Water. We actually have Stephanie Smith from Watts Water on the call with us today. And hi, Stephanie. And she'll talk in just a few minutes about her perspective on the Tech Challenge. What's really important to note here is that the representatives from these organizations are typically the tech teams. So as you're thinking about the application that you want to submit, keep in mind that you should be writing for a technical audience who is curious to kind of figure out how things work. It's the R&D teams or the innovation teams from these organizations. So once the application is submitted, those individuals from our sponsor organizations will be reviewing and selecting finalists. Once finalists are selected, we reach out to invite those people to finalist interviews, which are held with Water Council members, but really driven by the sponsor company's R&D innovation teams. And so this time around, our 2025 Fall Challenge is incredibly broad. intentionally. And it's this: how can we better manage water quality within water systems and enable smarter, faster decision making? What a question, right? And so we'll dig into that a little bit more. But I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the application areas. Oh, Karen wrote in the chat that the entire process for the Tech Challenge is virtual. So great point, Karen. Going back to that interview, that will be a virtual interview, so no need for anyone to travel. To the challenge topic, some of the application areas are, again, broad. We're talking about anything from source to water treatment to distribution, use, wastewater collection, and back to wastewater treatment. So really the entire universe of water treatment in terms of the human use cycle. So to narrow it down maybe a touch, some possible solution areas that that you could consider that would be appropriate would be decision platforms, sensors, AI and ML tools within these areas, water quality assessment and networks, advanced disinfection, multi-parameter water quality systems. And again, this is intentionally broad as we're looking to understand what we don't know and what innovations are out there that maybe industry as a whole doesn't even have a name for yet. So intentionally broad and curious to learn more. But first, I want to introduce Stephanie Smith from Watts Waters, who has been so kind to join us today. I'm going to put a spotlight on you, Stephanie. And I wonder if you could just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your role at Watts, and give us some insight into what the Tech Challenge is from the sponsor perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. First of all, it's fantastic to be here. My first experience with the Tech Challenge was in the spring. So my role at Watts, we'll kind of start there. I am the laboratory manager for the R&D team at Watts in Fort Myers, Florida. I am a new addition to the team. My 1 year work anniversary will be coming up here in January. It has been the best professional year of my life. I can definitely say that. As far as what we do and idea into our day-to-day look at things, we kind of have to keep a bit of the curtain back, right? Given that we're in R&D, but we do look for novel IP and novel technology that helps advance and increase human safety, efficacy, and quality of life surrounding water uses throughout the entire cycle. Our particular focus is in drinking water, and we represent myself and Joe Burke represent the Watts Applied Solution side of the business. In the past Tech Challenge, it was incredibly cool to see all of the different ideas that met the prompts and everything. So I'm very excited to see what everything looks like this time around, with the prompt being a little bit less guardrailed and seeing what people can bring to us that we wouldn't have even thought of. And that's one thing I will say for my role in R&D that is exciting, is every single day I learn that I don't know something, and it's drive to learn something else. So knowing that this technology is out there and we have an opportunity to bring it to market where it has an opportunity to flourish and grow is super exciting. And I can definitely say that even past winning the Tech Challenge, there's networking opportunities to be introduced to applications for your technology, and a lot of discussions behind the scenes as well for people who we have met and who we know that might be able to utilize them successfully as well. So thank you again for having me, Katie. I'm really grateful to be here, and it's awesome to work with Water Council again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. So I wanted to return back to some of those solution areas. And Stephanie, feel free to chime in if there are some of these that are that you would consider, top of your list, or others that I didn't include that are also interesting. But just kind of wanted to give people a feel, since the topic is so broad, of what might fit.
Yeah, absolutely. So for my personal facet of things, everything with drinking water application is most interesting to us. Application for sensors, filtration, And advancement there is of particular interest, just as a general kind of overview, but we're also open to any novel forms of IP that allow us to form that relationship and increase that for any customers or anyone who is involved in the water industry. Watts also does, on the other side of the business, a lot of work with boilers, chillers, commercial loops, and everything like that. So technology in that vein is valuable, although that's a little bit past my wheelhouse and on the other side of the business. So that's what I can speak to personally, and my background as well is in biochemistry and microbiology. So I have a little bit of bias there because that's kind of my personal interest. I'm the person who's going to watch a documentary on some kind of virus or something crazy going on a Saturday night. So that's what piques my interest. But I also understand that things are well past that. And we've seen so many cool things that are not derived from chemistry or sensors, even in the past challenge, that resulted in a lot of the sponsors getting together and networking to talk about one of the other applications for that technology and cool uses.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for applicants to kind of understand where the different companies are in the water space as a whole. So we have companies on the drinking water side like Watts. We have sponsors who are on the wastewater treatment, wastewater collection side. And so really it's we'll get to the exclusions in just a minute, but it's quite broad. So I just wanted to put that out there too. And thanks again for that, Stephanie.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully that didn't overstate the broadness of it,
No,
but
it's
that's one of the
perfect.
coolest
That's
parts of
right.
the tech challenge, right? So,
Right? Yes. And so, talking about things that are in scope, we are looking for technologies that are at TRL level 3 or above, and specifically technologies that can be applied to freshwater and associated systems. We are looking for technology solutions, so that includes new systems, processes, and tools. And we are looking at that decision-making support, which again can be quite broad. Um, Again, a couple more, you know, what it may include, but is absolutely not limited to sensor solutions, flood management tools, water quality detection, filter life sensors and indicators, and so forth. A few things are out of scope. Through this challenge, we are not looking for solutions for ultra pure water systems. And we are not looking for solutions for natural resource management. Though both of these are incredibly important topics, this isn't the focus. Neither one of those is the focus of this particular challenge. I wanted to share a little bit about some characteristics of previous winning submissions to give an idea about what it looks like on the backside of evaluating submissions. I was a water tech entrepreneur in a former life, and so I have put out together a lot of these submissions, and only recently have come to appreciate what it looks like to be on the reviewer side. So a few tips and tricks. Concise descriptions are key, and really boiling it down to the value prop and the innovation. So there's a question that asks in one sentence, really think about what that one sentence is and how that is going to be essentially like the way that people think about you as they're reviewing. You want to be able to provide sufficient technical details to allow evaluators like Stephanie to assess the technology thoroughly without an NDA in place. So through this competition, we do not provide NDAs. You wouldn't want to put anything in that isn't publicly shareable. Further on, if the relationship with any of the sponsors progresses, it would be totally appropriate to put a mutual NDA in place at that point in time, but that would come after the challenge is complete. It is useful to put in a brief discussion of the business model, but a brief discussion of the business model. This challenge has no investors and um, no what do they say, Stephanie? They kicked all the business people out of the room. And so it really is technical people who have an appreciation for the business model, but that will not be the core focus. Basically, you want to prove that you've thought about it and there is a business case, but you don't really need to spend a lot of time dwelling on it. It is incredibly useful to provide a demonstration of the claims that you're making, whether it's in a case study, whether it's in a demo video, some way to bring the concept to life for the reviewers is incredibly helpful. Um, I think there are 25 questions on the F6S application. Some of them are drop down. There are a few with long form text entry boxes. Be as clear and concise as you can with those. It really helps to make a good evaluation if you can state your value prop clearly, state the technological aims, state how you've met those. And you can also state what you don't know yet. That's completely appropriate too. Um, and then the last two are sort of housekeeping items, but they are more important than you might think up front. There are points of contact required in the F6S application, and I am beseeching you to please put a person's email in that contact box. Basically, anywhere there's a place to put an email address in F6S, please use an actual person's email that is monitored, not an info at email. We have had situations where people used an info at email and and we weren't able to contact them because they were using an unmonitored inbox. And so they were not eligible to continue participating because they missed the deadline to schedule an interview. So please use an email that you will that you will receive emails at. I will reach out personally to the finalists and let them know and to schedule a finalist interview. And then one more housekeeping point. The F6S portal can be a little confusing, I think. So it auto saves, I believe, but it's super important to actually continue on all the way through the submission until you get a confirmation email that says it was finalized. Otherwise, it sits idle in the system and it looks like it's still in progress. We only will consider finalized submissions as part of the challenge. One of our recent winners said this about the value of participation. We were, delighted to come across Jose Segura Water and their technology, and delighted to hear how it helped their company. So we're hoping that you will also join Jose as a Tech Challenge applicant. Just to set expectations, here's the timeline for how we'll proceed. The applications are due in F6S at midnight Central Time on October 10th. We'll take some time to review those internally with our sponsors, and then we will be notifying applicants that first week of November. That will be me sending out an email notifying all applicants of decisions to go ahead or not. And then we will invite those finalists to virtual interviews with our sponsors around the week of November 10th to 18th. We anticipate releasing the results in early January and distributing prizes at that time. So it was a quick overview. I do want to leave some time for questions. Feel free to put any you may have into the chat. And if anybody wants to unmute and speak into the room, you could feel free to do that too.
Katie, I didn't want to interrupt, but you brought up Segura Water, and I was actually thinking when you mentioned the demonstration, just for anyone
Yes.
who's interested, that was definitely their rock star moment amongst all of the sponsors was that live demo. So for whatever that's worth, that was very
Yes.
cool. And if that's a great example of what we're looking for in the actual interview process past just the initial application, because that's when you really get the chance to stand out past what the case made on paper is, and it certainly goes a long way.
Thank you, Stephanie. Yeah, that was definitely a defining moment, and he really brought it home with that. Um, yeah, anything that you can do to demonstrate the concept to bring it closer to reality for the evaluators audience is definitely appreciated and memorable. Um, Certainly would there's a question in the chat about for wastewater, are projects on nutrient recovery eligible? Absolutely. Um, then there's a question about what the sponsors are looking for the novelty of the application, the potential for fully scaling up. I would say yes, and um, definitely looking for novel technologies that are step changes compared to current state of the art. They would definitely be looking at the potential for full commercialization, um, since, that's what they do. Um, I hope that answers your question. Any specific pollutants of interest in wastewater treatment and sensing? I That's a great question. I think that, you know, the emerging contaminants is always a concern, but then if there are better ways of treating and sensing the things that are kind of, historically known to be in water, and you can demonstrate a marked improvement over how things have typically been done, that would be very interesting as well. Karen, is there anything else that you would like to add?
I think you've really shared the high points. I guess just to share a little bit more about the history of the program. This is actually the 15th round of our Tech Challenge. So we've been doing this now for 7.5 years with our sponsors. If you're interested to see some of the past topics and past winners, we invite you to go to our website under Innovation and Tech Challenge, and we list all of the winners there, but we only publish the winners of the competition. So, if you have opportunity to continue, a relationship with one of the sponsors, that's great. And that is a pathway of opportunity as well. But we do only publish the winners that win the prize money. I will say that this has given us great opportunity in past rounds to follow the interests of our sponsors and even revisit some topics over time where there is a lot of movement and a lot of progress in the industry. You'll see many different sensor challenges that we have undertaken over time, emerging contaminants that kind of keep coming around every few years. So that might give you a sense of kind of where we've been, the look in the rear view mirror, and then of course, the format of this current round is looking at problem statement rather than a specific solution. So this particular round was approached a little bit differently, a little bit broader lens, looking at the creative approaches for, water quality sensing tools, systems in general. So we're really excited to see your ideas and your submissions about how you approach that. Our sponsors are all very engaged, and I think you'll find that through the interview process, that will be a good chance, if you're invited into that process, to get feedback from the sponsors in terms of your approach and the technology, and maybe give you some useful points along the way too. So I think it's certainly beneficial not only from the perspective of the potential for prize money or a relationship that continues, but that feedback loop that will help guide companies or their technologies on their path. So I think those are some of my remarks. Again, we appreciate your consideration of submitting and think that it will be a valuable experience for you as well. Thanks, Katie.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. I see there's a question in the chat about filtration technologies or only the sensing equipment. So the way that we're thinking about this challenge is ways to add support to people making decisions in the water quality space. And so I think if you can position your filtration technology as an advantage, absolutely, love to see what you're working on. And I would be happy to share this recording with anybody who joined late or would like to review for whatever reason. So, happy to send the recording out to all registrants of today's webinar.
I guess, Katie, I would just interject also that all of our application-based programs are global. I think Katie touched on this, but we invite applications from all over the world. You'll see if you're reviewing the list of award winners too, that they've been from all over the world. So we know that great innovation, great research, and great ideas happen everywhere. So we kind of cast the net as far and as broadly as we possibly can. So location is not a factor in this competition.
Right. We have accommodated interview times across the globe, and we're happy to do that to meet with the wonderful companies that put in the time to put together an application. Willing to accept a question in the chat about whether we're willing to accept a solution that is applicable across a broad suite of water. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, some water is different, a lot of water is the same. I think, that is totally in scope. So yeah. Did you have other questions about that that we could help out with, Heather?
No, yeah, I think it's mostly just because we're kind of a unique solution that fits across the boxes. And so, yeah, just wanting to make sure that there's because I know typically it's like, oh, we do this really well, but we kind of do a lot of different things and it's unique, I guess. We have a different approach. So, yeah, I look forward to submitting something, but thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah, there are questions in the application about whether you apply to stormwater, drinking water, or wastewater, and you should be able to select all that apply. So yeah, feel free to do so. Thanks, looking forward to it. Are there other questions? I know we have some people who just joined in, and I want to let you know that we're approaching the end of our time talking, but I will share out the recording of the presentation and the discussion today. Okay, there's a question about the application asking for a presentation highlighting the tech aspect. That could be whatever you think best highlights your technology. It could absolutely be a video. It could be a slide. I would only ask that if it's a video, you share a link because when the applications are reviewed, it will be in PDF format. So uploading an MP4, for instance, would not be the most useful, but sharing a YouTube link, for instance, would be totally appropriate. Karen, correct me if I'm wrong. There's a question about multiple applications for multiple solutions. I don't think we have any limits. So if organizations or individuals would like to submit multiple applications for different technologies to be considered, well, we'd happily consider those. Great questions. Are there any others um, in the room? Happy to take some more. Otherwise, I think we'll wrap it up here. And thank you, Stephanie, for your time and for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Again, it's always great to work with you guys, and I look forward to this next round of the Tech Challenge and reviewing it. The first one was an incredible experience, so thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Karen has put my email and her email into the chat. Feel free to reach out with questions. Before we close out, I see Majid has asked if a patent is needed. For innovative technologies, you'd want to make sure that you have some way to protect whatever is unique, but that can be by trade secrets. I would say a patent is not strictly necessary, but I want to urge caution to be reasonable and consult with your counsel if you have any doubts about what to share. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Really looking forward to reading your submissions. Again, feel free to reach out with any questions. I'll be sharing this recording later on today and will be available in the meantime. And this competition closes on October 10th. So looking forward to seeing your submissions come through. Please reach out with any questions. And thanks again for your time. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you again for having me.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Thanks.